The sound of saws echoes across Grand County as people are rebuilding the homes lost in the East Troublesome Fire last year. They can rebuild where and how they want, despite the risk of another wildfire. Years back, a group of experts recommended that Colorado consider a wildfire building code. Local control won out. Our Steve Steger goes up to Grand County to show us what that looks like.
The view was the absolute selling point.
We were here for about 17 years.
The windows of Shelley Olson's home once provided a panorama of everything that makes Colorado great.
To lose everything. You can't imagine it till you go through it.
The East Troublesome Fire took the windows, the house, and some of the scenery.
The trees are just kind of frozen, blown.
She knew this was possible.
Being in the fire service, you shouldn't think that it's not going to happen to you, but I guess I kind of had that feeling that it wouldn't happen to me.
But this assistant fire chief says nothing truly prepares you for this kind of loss.
I basically just collapsed in the driveway, bawled my eyes out, in denial, I think, still, because couldn't even believe it. It was hard to swallow.
Olson and her husband built their home in Grand Lake in 2004.
The type of material, the heavy timber, it's very difficult to get that to ignite.
They did it in a county that has no specific rules for how to build in this space, where the forest meets the neighborhood, what firefighters call the wildland-urban interface, or WUI.
I think that, Grand County is, it's one of those counties that people come here to do what they want to do on their property.
In Colorado, it's a local decision whether or not to tell people how to build in places like this.
At a minimum, we don't even have resources at the state level that would say, if you are a community interested in adopting a local building code, this is the way you could do it.
Molly Mowry is a land use planner who runs a nonprofit helping communities in the WUI build smarter. After devastating fires in 2012 and 2013, a task force recommended the state consider adopting a statewide building code for areas like this, either as a mandate or simply a model that local governments could adopt. Proposals for both died in the state legislature.
I believe there was a lot of resistance to, fears about the costs, fears about local control, home rule. We know we're going to see growth. Why don't we equip these communities to do it in a way that isn't setting them up for some type of failure in the future?
County governments still make these decisions on their own.
The building codes actually start out on the highway.
Across the divide from Grand County, Boulder does it differently.
Driveways have got to be a certain size.
First level of brick is really good too.
Underground cisterns for storage of fire water. Buried propane tanks. Those are the kind of things that caught me by surprise.
When Dave Kielsmeyer decided to build on these 35 acres near Nederland, his friends warned him.
We heard a lot about, oh man, you're in Boulder County, that's going to be tough.
Boulder County has had strict wildfire building codes on the books since 1993.
I think we've only had like one or two houses that have gone through the new building code process that had those wildfire mitigation requirements that were actually destroyed in a wildfire.
Kyle McCaddy works for the county, helping homeowners understand the rules.
There is some kind of back and forth, but once you explain it, most people understand it.
It's not cheap.
Oh yeah.
Dave estimates it added about 15 to 20% to the cost of the project.
It's worth it for the privilege to be up here and for the peace of mind, knowing that at least you've done everything that you can do.
This was heavy timber, right?
Back in Grand County,
The engine block
Olson admits
from Toyota.
Even the most restrictive building codes might not have saved her property from the powerful East Troublesome Fire.
Not every fire is going to be in East Troublesome. So we need to plan for the 90%, the 99%. The fire that we can protect our homes against.
She's leading a group now, looking at what regulations, if any, could work here. It'll be a tough sell.
My goal is to not lose another home, here, or another life.
New perspective from an assistant fire chief who's been there.
But I will never do my job the same again, dealing with folks who have been evacuated or lose their homes.
For Next, I'm Steve Steger.
Glad we took a bit more time to explore that. The chair of the Grand County Board of Commissioners told Steve that they'll take whatever suggestions Shelley's group comes up with and try to balance them with the desire for individual property rights. They did note they're considering being more proactive in going in to tell people that they need to do mitigation work, clearing the trees and the brush away from homes.